Sometimes when we get a new tool, we bump into a limitation, and we're disappointed and we give up. But not this time. Today, I'm blasting through that click limitation on the print and pattern tool in 2 ways. And even if you don't have the tool, or if you do have the tool and that click limitation doesn't bother you, stick around for some really pretty summary cards in a new to me color combination. Terracotta, Mandarin Spice, and Sparkling Berry. So basically red, orange, and pink. This color combination is analogous, meaning they sit next to each other on a color wheel, and they'll blend nicely together and give kind of in-between colors. First, let me go back and explain what the click limitation is. The print and pattern tool allows you to move your stamp vertically and horizontally across your panel to help you build perfectly placed patterns. For more on that, you can watch this video here. The click limitation refers to the fact that each click on this tool is about ½ an inch away. So as I stamp this ½ ring stamp yet again, you can see that there's a little bit of space between each one. So if I wanted a pattern where each image was lined up right next to the previous one, and I allowed myself to be limited by this, I would need to go on the hunt for a perfectly sized stamp, right? Or I can go beyond the click. Let me show you what I mean. First, I grabbed a ruler and I measured the space between the numbers on the long arm of the tool. Let me zoom in here so you can see what I see. It's actually not ½ an inch, but 9/16 of an inch. That seemed odd to me, so I actually measured it in a few places, and they are consistently 9/16 of an inch all the way along. This made it pretty easy for me, actually. I put a mark with a thin Copic marker right on the bar between the 4/16 and the 5/16 ticks on the ruler. If you're not a measurer, you could also just eyeball the spacing between the 2 engraved ticks on the tool. I did a few on the long arm, and then I moved to the top bar of the tool, the one that fits into the base, and I did the same thing. The idea is that I'll be able to move the arm along the bar, and even though it won't click into place, I'll be able to stop the arm at these halfway points, and then do my stamping and give myself more flexibility with my patterns. But even now, I'm already thinking ahead to an even more radical solution for this. I slid the arm back onto the top bar of the tool, and then I put the stamp adapter onto that long arm, and I realized I'd put my marks on the wrong side of the bar. The stencil adapter uses the numbers on that side, and the stamp adapter uses the numbers on the other side of the arm. That was a quick fix, and now I'll be ready for when I try this with a stencil at some point. Okay, now I think I'm ready to start. I've got this solid kind of petal-shaped stamp from an old Simon Says stamp set, and I lined it up on the little stamp positioner plate with my tool at 6 on the top arm and 4 on the long arm. This gives me lots of room to move to the right and down as I build my pattern. So now everything's just the same as before except for one little thing. Instead of clicking the arm into place each time, I have to watch for the little black marks on the arm. There is a little pointer in the window that'll help you be pretty precise with the placement, and of course every other impression will be in the exact right place because of the click. I rotated through my 3 colors until I filled in the first line, ending on the same color I started with. Then when I went to do the next row, I decided to just go down 1 full click, just because the height of this stamp meant that if I did a half click, I'd be covering a lot of the previous row and building up a lot of ink, and also it would just take me forever. So I filled in each row using the half click marks on the long arm, but the full clicks along the top arm. So I'm getting 100% precision in my row heights, but there may be tiny fluctuations along each row if you can see what I mean. Now, while the half click marks I've put on the arms are really just visual cues rather than really being clicked in place, the adapter, this white thing with the window, is not loosey-goosey and sliding easily along. And that's not to say it's difficult either, just that once you've got it in place with the black tick mark in the window, it's stiff enough that it will hold in place while you lift the arm to ink up your stamp. Of course, it doesn't hurt to double check the position of that black mark in the window before you stamp it down. So now for my radical idea. I went back to my favorite little ring stamp. This time I want those little rings bumping right up next to each other. We know that there's not room between the clicks to fit another whole ring, so I can't use the little black halfway marks on the 2 arms. I'm going to have to just freehand it. I always like to start on a click on both of the arms. I'm at 5 on the long arm and 7 on the top arm. And just like in my previous card, I'm stamping my 3 colors in order. But this time I'm lining up each time with the previous impression. I'm not looking at the little window at all, just the panel I'm stamping on. And it's working! Okay, I'll just finish this row and then we can see how it works when I move the top bar down. It's a little different this time because of course I want that top bar to stay in the same position the whole time as I stamp my row of whatever number of rings. And I took it a little further by offsetting the rings in the second row between the rings in the first row. I think you can see what I mean. So I won't be having straight columns of rings, more like diagonal lines of them. I kept moving along, and the only hard thing about this is that when you decide you've got your stamp lined up where you want it, if that position is really close to a click, you may find that the arm just clicks in. I tried to push it back out ever so slightly, but from time to time it just clicked back in, and I ended up stamping it in the click, even though it wasn't the exact right spot. I hope that makes sense. Also, I did manage to lose track of my color order at a couple of points, so there are definitely imperfections in this panel, but this method has opened up a whole other level of play with this tool. Now you might ask, why would someone bother doing this when they could just stamp with a block and get it pretty close? I think there's two reasons. The first is, once you have that top arm position in place, your row is likely to be very, very straight across. So even if you end up with some imprecision between each ring in the row is quite straight, and it'll be pretty easy to keep it straight as you move down the panel. The second reason is because you're using a little stamp positioner, as long as you're careful in not knocking the adapter around, you'll be able to restamp if you need to. You don't have the same flexibility to precisely go back to your previous rows and get perfect restamping as you would if you're just using the clicks, but it is still easier than trying to line it up with just an acrylic block. Okay, now let's take a look at the cards. First, here's the card where I used the clicks. I trimmed it down so that each edge has half rings. I think that's a really fun look. And I added a die-cut Gina K Happy Birthday sentiment. I also added a pop of Sauna, which is on the other end of the analogous colors, on my mat and my sentiment shadow. I embossed the mat with the Origami Folds embossing folder from Spellbinders. Next, here's the card with the overlapping petals. I ended up stamping it to a size that I could cut a square around it and you can see the stamped edges of the pattern. I think that's kind of a neat look, but if you preferred, you could stamp it bigger than you need and trim it down for a more solid look. My sauna mat was embossed with the Angled Mosaics embossing folder from Altenew, and that die-cut sentiment is a mix of Prism Studios and Waffle flower. If you look really closely, you'll see that the O in the of and the U are slightly different, and I think the U is slightly bigger, but it's close enough. Next, my squished up rings. I cut this panel with a circle to try and minimize the areas with the color order mistakes. That mat was embossed with the Dotty Circles embossing folder from Altenew, and that's a Trinity Stamps Thanks sentiment die cut. Finally, here's one I didn't record. This stamp is bigger than a click rather than smaller, and I just wanted to be sure that this freehanding of the measurements would work here too. And it does. I added a sauna mat embossed with the Circle Illusion folder from Spellbinders, and I added die-cut sauna dots as well as an old favorite stamp sentiment. I know, it's been a lot of grid making here lately, but practicing and pushing through limitations with something and becoming an expert, whether it's a tool or a new skill, is the only way to really get the most out of it. Here's another tool I had to experiment with when I first got it, the Stencils 360. I'll meet you there. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.